When I was in the second grade, I began making preparation for First Holy Communion. Jesus was not my focus. It was about what I would wear. So my mother borrowed a white dress, and I would wear my sister Madeline's Holy Communion veil. That morning when we woke up, it was raining, and Mom was putting my communion clothes in a bag because we were going to walk to church. And she saw me licking up the crumbs from the cookies she had made the night before. She grabbed me and shook me over the sink, saying, "Spit it out, spit it out." I didn't know why she was doing that. Then she said, "I don't think you can go to communion. You broke your fast." I cried all the way to church, and the pastor, Father Bertram, shooed everyone out of the classroom, and he said to me, "Did you swallow the crumbs?" And I says, "I don't know." He said, "You can go to communion." I wore my white dress and my veil, and I made my first communion. The sisters I had at St. Mary Magdalene wore that beautiful white habit. I loved them, and I loved that white habit. In fact, I told my mom when we needed new kitchen curtains, maybe we could make them out of the same material that the sisters' habits are made out of. She looked at me strangely and said, "I don't think so." And she bought them at the dollar store. They were pretty, but I think they would have been prettier if she had made them out of habit material. Two very changing experiences happened to me in the 7th grade. My classmates were struck by a car on their bicycles, and they were terribly maimed. And later on, a second boy was killed in the same type of accident. Sister Marietta, our teacher, tried to console us and said, "I think God has something special in mind for this class." And we began praying the prayer for vocations. I liked Sister Marietta, and I could help her after school put up her bulletin boards and write the sentences on the blackboard, long ones for diagramming. I think that's the moment after school when I thought, I would like to be like her. I'd like to wear a habit and be a sister. Well, there were a few other girls who were thinking the same thing, so when we finished the 8th grade, 4 of us came to Marywood as aspirants. We were not recognized as academy girls because we wore a different uniform. We had a black jumper and a black blouse and a plastic collar and cuffs and brown cotton stockings and black Oxfords. It didn't bother me. The sisters gave us a fine education, and I went on to study piano and choir. When I graduated from Marywood in 1950, I entered the postulancy. One of the very first things we had to do as postulants was to begin sewing our habits and making them. Sister Conrad was holding her breath with some of us. Then she announced that the reception ceremony called for us to walk in as brides of Christ. Again, I borrowed a wedding dress, a white one, and wore my sister Madeline's wedding veil. She didn't know that year wedding dresses came with big hoop skirts, petticoats underneath them. So when we prostrated towards the altar, the priest in the front row had a good show. Before you knew it, it was time to go and teach. I was holy, I wore the habit. I was all knowledgeable. And I could teach classroom music and piano and choirs because I had 1 year of college. I even taught religion the next year because anyone in a habit should be able to do that. With Vatican II, there was a life-giving experience to me that I had longed for a long time. I read Cardinal Suenen's book, The Nun in the World, where he challenged me to be a presence to those around me, like Dominic had been. What did the world need, and what could I bring? These were life-changing times. We were urged and invited to dismantle this veil and this habit, and to wear something that the people we were serving were wearing. This didn't happen overnight. We brought the skirt up, and we made the sleeves smaller, and we made a little veil that our hair was showing, and that was called an experiment. In those years of experimenting with the habit, I was teaching at St. Stephen's School, and I had large music classes, and they gave me a practice teacher to help. I put her in a classroom with some fifth graders, and when it was time to go, I opened the door, and I saw her playing away on her guitar, and the kids had their arms around her shoulders, and they were singing. I thought to myself, they never touched me like that. This habit put me on a pedestal. That wasn't right. I wanted them to know I loved them, and I wanted them to love me. I was more than just a classroom music teacher. I didn't need a habit to do that. Another thing happened at that same parish. They had an amateur show. Well, the Smolensky family singers won first place. And I came in second. A sister in my modified habit singing, I feel pretty, oh so pretty. I was so nervous. What did I look like? How could I sing a song that was so vain? But I had an Eliza Doolittle moment. I was a woman, not someone dressed in an androgynous men's underwear shirt and heavy black shoes. I wanted to sing with Helen Reddy, I am woman, I am strong. Little did I know how much strength it would take. There were times when we studied the documents from the Vatican that I felt this was an answer to something that I had longed for all my life. And so I knew as a Dominican, I needed to do my duty and begin delving into what really made a religious. I studied the documents, I read, I made retreats, I chose a spiritual director, and I meditated. Meditation and the study of scriptures brought me to a knowledge of the love of God and God's Son's love for me and my neighbor. Things happened in my life. There were tragedies of death and illnesses, and I began to see that this was a transformation that was happening in me. My interior life became my exterior life. I could serve the hungry and the homeless in a simple dress because what was in my heart was what God had made holy. It had become my habit. The beautiful white habit that invited me to come to be a Dominican sister was now present with you today. Thank you.